Before we begin, I invite you to gently close your ears and focus on what remains when all external sounds fade away. It's like sitting in a quiet room, and after a while, you notice a subtle ringing or hum beneath the silence. If you listen closely, you'll start to experience this soft, constant presence, something that feels like the very fabric of reality itself. In quantum physics, it's said that everything is connected at the most fundamental level, and that everything we see is just a manifestation of deeper, unseen energy. What you are hearing, or rather feeling, is that same energy, that same field of potential. This subtle ringing is what we call the sound of silence. It's not just an abstract concept or some external force. It's the very essence of you. Everything we discuss in this session and the ones to come will be about this sound of silence. It is not something separate or different from you. It is you. This exploration is about realizing that the sound of silence is your own inner being, your most fundamental nature, the stillness from which all life arises. You are that, the very presence behind everything. When I consider space, I realize that the presence of something within it becomes apparent through instruments. It is accurate to say that I am looking through this instrument. However, the belief that I only see from this point of view is an error. Consciousness cannot be claimed as my own, just as I cannot claim ownership of water in the world around me. It is not something I made or bought. Consciousness simply exists, and the fact that I am conscious is undeniable. So, I wonder why we try to control or overpower this consciousness. Doesn't this consciousness belong to everyone? The consciousness within my body is no different from the one within another body, whether that body is large or small. It is the same consciousness throughout. The teaching I reflect upon emphasizes that by making the supreme decision to embrace light, we can overcome the darkness of ignorance and be free of sorrow, living in a state of blessing. It's an invitation to live in happiness and enlightenment by filling the darkness of ignorance with light. The moment I let go of my desire to experience something specific, I find myself everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Words fail to describe the essence of deep sleep. I cannot explain it beyond saying I was, without being able to define the experience fully in terms of time or space. This lack of definition stems from the fact that the concept of space-time is reliant on the existence of something that's felt or perceived. The feeling I experience, whether in waking life or in a dream, is linked to an instrument of perception. But this raises the question, am I the instrument, or am I the one who perceives through it? This realization, which may seem simple, requires repetition because I have become so accustomed to thinking in another way. I repeat these thoughts in various forms because I cannot know when they will finally resonate deeply within me. The supreme decision, again, is about filling the darkness with light and becoming free from sorrow. I reflect on the nature of sorrow, which seems to arise from the change or loss of the instrument, the death of the body, or the disruption of other connected instruments. Instruments, in this context, refer to living beings, while other things around us, non-living objects, are also considered instruments. However, if I examine closely, both living and non-living entities are simply forms, objects in their own right. I need patience to truly understand this. As I observe the teachings, I see that they emphasize the notion that I do not need to do anything. Space does not act, it simply exists. A mirror reflects by itself and fades away on its own. If I grasp this, I begin to understand that neither others nor I am the doers of anything. Everything simply unfolds on its own. This realization is profound and requires careful observation of my thoughts and actions. When I do this, I notice that my thoughts seem to flow naturally, without any conscious effort. It feels as though I am thinking, but in truth, it is the thought process that moves independently. The pinnacle of spiritual realization lies in understanding that free will is an illusion. The actions I take, or the actions others take toward me, seem to be based on free will. But in reality, nothing happens out of my personal control. Whether the experience is good or bad, it is not based on free will in its true sense. My actions are the result of an underlying, unseen force. Similarly, others' actions toward me are not truly their own. They are also influenced by something beyond their control. The notion that I make choices is part of the illusion that keeps me bound to the idea of free will. The truth, however, is that everything is happening by itself. My body operates based on certain information that has been programmed within it. If this information were changed, my body would act differently. But even the thought to change the information comes from another layer of information. Information interacts with itself. This body, as I experience it, is simply a manifestation of gross information. Everything in my body, every part of it, is made up of information. Science has made significant progress in understanding this concept. If I were to take a small piece of hair and give it to a specialized laboratory, they would be able to trace my entire lineage and reconstruct aspects of my genetic makeup. This is a demonstration of how everything, including what I perceive as matter, is composed of information. Information acts upon other information. But the key point here is that information is always related to form. Information cannot exist in the formless. Whether it's a physical object or an image of that object, both are forms. Yet I am formless. Becoming free from sorrow and blessed means transcending the attachment to form. In this state of freedom, I understand that everything happening within and around me is happening automatically. If a significant action is meant to occur through my body, it will happen, but it will not be because I made it happen. I do not need to think that I am the one doing it. Something inside me, a hidden desire, may be the force that triggers the action, but once that contact is made through my senses, I will be inspired to act. The bigger the desire, the more significant the action. My body will move as though I am the one doing it, but in reality, I am merely present. The deeper truth is that I am always just there, existing, and everything flows through me without my active participation. This realization is at the core of the teachings. By making the supreme decision, I can fill the darkness of ignorance with light and live in a state free from sorrow, living in blessing.